Okay, so just to test things out, I'm going to explain one of the things that people seem to have trouble with a lot, and that is the rule about if we have two terms subtracted, say something like 6 minus x, we want the x to be first, because then when we're doing our canceling or whatever steps we're trying to do, we will recognize any matches that we have. If we always write the x first in any of our factors that are two pieces added or subtracted, then any matches that we can find, we will find. So when we have something like this, it might seem like it's not a match for the factor x minus 6, but there actually is a match in there. The way that we're going to find this is by just switching the order of subtracting, and whenever you do that, you write a negative sign on the outside. Or if you want to think about it like that, you could think about it like a -1. If you're comfortable with this rule just like it is, then you can use it just like this. But let me show you in a little more detail how it works. First, you can think of subtracting as being the same thing as adding -1 times something. Now, adding is an operation where I can switch the order anytime I want. So 6 plus -1x is the same thing as -1x plus 6. Now again, I'm going to change this addition to subtracting a negative. Minus -1 times 6. Minus -1 times something is the same thing as just adding it. Because if we were to change the subtraction to adding, we would get another -1. It'd be positive. You can think about it as two negatives makes a positive. And now, with our normal GCF rules, you can see that both terms have a -1, which means I can write that in front. And what I have left is an x without a match right here, a minus in the middle, and a 6 on the end. You could write these steps every time, but I think it adds more work than you really need. And this situation comes up a whole lot. So hopefully now you sort of trust me that this rule works, and you can use it without writing in all of these steps in the middle. So let me do some more examples. Let's say that we have 10 minus 2x. Now we have a couple of issues here. First of all, the x term is second. Secondly, it has a number with it. So let's see if we can take out a greatest common factor beyond just a -1. I'm going to write 10 as 2 times 5. That's really the only way to write 10 as two numbers that doesn't have one of them being 1. Sometimes there's more than one choice, and you want to choose a choice that's going to give you the biggest number match. 2x is 2 times x. Now, 2 and 2 are a match. So I'm going to write 2 in front. And now I see I have a 5 minus x. So this has the same issue that this has. But recognizing that it's easy to switch, I'm just going to switch the order of subtraction, change this to x minus 5. And then I already have a 2 in front. I can just make that a -2. I'm multiplying this 2 by -1, I got -2. Sometimes you can't get rid of the number with x, but you can still switch the order. So say that I had, let's see, 10 minus 4x. This could be 2 times 5 minus 2 times 2 times x. I recognize that I could write both of these numbers as 2 times something in order to get a match. So I'm going to match the 2's. And this is 2 in front, because that's a match. I have a 5 that doesn't have a match. And then in this term, I have 2x. Cool. I still want to switch this, so I'm just going to switch the order. 2x minus 5. And again, I'm going to make it a negative 2 in front. You can also do this if you have higher powers of x. A case that we see pretty often is a difference of 2 squares. So for example, you could see something like 16 minus x squared. Now, you could factor this right away and do 4 plus x, 4 minus x. But when you have just 2 terms like this, I think after you at least take out the greatest common factor like we did before, it's easier to switch the order first. So I'm going to change this into x squared minus 16. And I'm just going to put a negative 1 in front. Now this you should recognize as just being a difference of squares. That's going to give me x plus 4, x minus 4. You could also have something with a greatest common factor. Maybe you have, let's do 100 minus 4 x squared. I can write 100 as 4 times 25, and then I have 4 times x times x. I've got a 4 that I can match in the front, and now I have 25 minus x squared. This looks just like what we did here. I'm going to switch the order. And I'm going to make that 4 in front and negative 4. Now I'm not done. I need to do negative 4, x plus 5, x minus 5. Whenever you write a number in front, you keep that number throughout the rest of your steps. It doesn't do anything. You can still factor what's on the inside. It doesn't change the steps for doing that, but it also does not go away.